they were presented with the question of how can we mitigate the traffic and crowd control problems at Levi Stadium. And we're talking about second graders. They were given that question. They actually had representatives of the stadium come in and visit. So they talked about the specific problems. They designed, they wrote, they built models of their ideas. Some of them were amazing. Some of them were wildly economically unfeasible, but still would have been really great. In other words, to put an entire transit center underneath the stadium, which would have cost billions of dollars, but boy, it would have been great if they could do that. And they used tubes to illustrate the subway. Remember, your second graders? And then we had a big assembly where all the projects were displayed, and they did videos. So there was were an enormous number of standards and educational, what I call silos, that were hit just in this one project. Which is why I'm a huge believer in project-based learning, because it breaks down the silos between educational disciplines. One project can include math, history, literacy, all in one project. And so in that sense, it's a natural for an elementary school. But even at a middle school or a high school, if teachers team up, if teachers work together, if they understand the flow of the project and they can cooperate in designing their curriculum, in designing their projects, and understand that when a student comes to me from his history class to my math class, that he'll be working on something in particular, and I'll understand that he's moving through mathematical challenges that he has to learn, and I'll understand what sort of support that that I would be providing to the student. So project-based learning, awesome. When you approach pedagogy with project-based learning, you're putting a seat at the table for everybody. You're putting a seat at the table for the kid who's the organizer. You're putting a seat at the table for the kid who actually does like to work with their hands, the kid who's creative and understands color, the kid who's analytical. And because they're working together, because they almost always work in teams, they're sharing this knowledge, and they're sharing the possibilities with each other. They are making each other better.